Hello everyone. Today we'll talk about breath management. There are three foremost foundations for vocal technique in classical singing. They are motor, vibrator, and resonator. These three functions work very closely together and are almost impossible to address separately because the three functions are correlated and some concepts will overlap. Later on, you will find multiple elements will be combined as our understanding deepens in vocal technique. Luckily, there are many exercises invented by famous vocal pedagogues to provide solutions for specific problems in each function. In this video module, we'll learn about breath management first. We all know the importance of breath for singing. Many of you probably heard about the diaphragm and the ribcage while you were in high school choir. Well, our training will include more areas in upper chest, ribcage, trachea, lungs, diaphragm, and layers of abdominal muscles. Breath is the power source for singing voice. This concept was formed by voice pedagogy of the 19th century Italian school, and they called it appoggio. Appoggio can be translated as support or lean on. However, appoggio is not simply indicating breath management. Appoggio is a system for breath and resonance coordination. For better understanding, let's use the analogy of a balloon. If I want to release the air from a balloon while maintaining a steady air pressure, I would control the mouth of the balloon for a steady pace of air, right? I can and also push the other side of the balloon, increasing the pressure of the air out of the balloon. So we could say that steady air pressure of the balloon is the result of coordination between the mouth and the other side of the balloon, right? Appoggio coordination is the exact same mechanism. Resonance and breath management interplay so our breath is evenly spent throughout each phrase and your phonation is clear and focused. That's the concept of appoggio. According to Dr. Richard Miller in his book, The Structure of Singing, appoggio coordination is the exact same mechanism. Resonance and breath management interplay so your breath is evenly spent throughout each phrases and your phonation is clear and focused. That's the concept of appoggio. According to Dr. Richard Miller in his book, The Structure of Singing, appoggio can also be explained as the equilibrium between subglottal, which is breath management, and supraglottal, which is resonance pressure. Muscles, bones, and organs used for appoggio are the abdominal wall, sternum, ribcage, especially the floating ribs number 11 and 12, and resonators. To achieve proper appoggio technique, the posture of the sternum and the ribcage is the most significant key point. The sternum must stay elevated and the ribcage slightly wide. In other words, keep the initial inhaling position of your sternum and ribcage to delay the collapse of your torso as long as possible. Like what Dr. Miller said in The Structure of Singing, sing in the position of breathing and breathe in the position of singing. When the sternum is collapsed, the ribs fall quickly. Diaphragm rises more quickly, and finally, there is very little room for the abdominal wall to support your vocal production. It's like a domino. People talk about the diaphragm a bit too obsessively. In fact, the diaphragm is an involuntary muscle and therefore uncontrollable. On the contrary, we can learn to control the abdominal wall and the sternum instead of the diaphragm. It means that we can control the diaphragm indirectly and delay its rise by controlling the sternum and the abdominal wall. So be sure that your sternum is in the inspiratory position. Now let's talk about types of breathing. There are 4 breathing methods: clavicular, thoracic, abdominal, and a balanced breath. Now you have to remember that the breath is controlled by the use of antagonism in the abdominal wall. Antagonism is the use of muscles that work opposite each other to complete a task. In well-supported singing, there is a complex balance between relaxation and contraction between the various muscle groups that support the breath. For instance, when the bicep contracts, the tricep relaxes for bending your elbow. Clavicular is shoulder breathing with a loud noise. It tends to expire air quickly because it has nothing to do with the abdominal muscle antagonism. Thoracic is lower chest breathing, in and up method. Because the location is around inflexible bones like the sternum and ribs, the effort to the thoracic expansion can cause an unnecessary tension. The sternum and ribs need to position highly, but not to feel extensively expanded. Abdominal is belly breathing. This method is pushing outward on the abdominal wall, or the down and out method. Belly breathing encourages the collapse of the sternum, therefore against appoggio. A balanced breathing is appoggio. We know appoggio is a combination of the thoracic and abdominal breathing. Silent inspiration, which is easy breath, is desired for appoggio breathing. In summary, you need the sternum and ribs highly positioned and use the belly for the muscle antagonism. Let's talk about the abdominal antagonism now. Appoggio heavily relies on the abdominal wall antagonism. Dr. Scott McCoy said that there are about 30 respiratory muscles. In the abdominal wall, there are 4 primary muscles used for appoggio, and they are the transverse abdominis, internal oblique, external oblique, and rectus abdominis muscles. The reason why there is muscle antagonism is because these muscles are layered, crossing over each other. If antagonism doesn't exist, our belly will not hold together for any movements. In short, the muscle fibers of the abdominal wall start from the pelvic region and insert into the ribcage. These large abdominal muscles cover from the pubic crest to the sternum and attached to the lower 8 ribs across the both sides. Unlike the diaphragm, we can feel the abdominal wall. Now, why don't you place your hands between the bottom of your rib cage and your hip bone? When you inhale, you will feel the expansion of the torso. This is the inspiratory position of your body, and you must maintain this position and delay the inward movement of the belly while you're singing. This is the appoggio posture, guys. You will feel some degree of resistance when you try to delay the inward movement, and that's how you use the muscle antagonism for appoggio. Appoggio can be improved by onset exercises. Onset exercise is very important for appoggio training. Onset exercise is repetitive cycles of phonation, release, breath renewal. There are 3 types of onsets. The first one is called the aspirated onset or the soft onset. This particular kind creates whispery or raspy sound because the glottis remains pretty open for phonation. So it sounds like ah. Apparently, this is not a recommended onset exercise. The second one is the glottal onset or the heart attack. The glottis is completely closed before phonation. The glottal onset creates a grunting noise like when you lift heavy objects, like This one is not recommended either. The last one is the balanced onset or the coordinated onset. I strongly recommend to practice the coordinated onset exercises on a daily basis. Here is the how-to for the balanced onset. Number 1, before inhalation, open your throat fully. Number 2, the vocal folds must be closed fully and precisely for phonation. Number 3, open the throat fully for a release. Number 4, renew your breath. A full breath is not necessary. Let your body recover lightly. Here are some examples of onset exercises. Hey guys, so here's the onset exercise that I'd like you to practice daily. We'll start with quarter notes on E major triad. I will demonstrate on O vowel. Before you do this onset exercise, make sure that your body is in appoggio position, which is your sternum slightly high and your ribcage stays open as long as possible. Here we go. Oh, 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 oh. Once you're successful with quarter notes, then move on to duples. Oh, 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 oh. The third one is triplets. Oh, 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 oh. Make sure that you're not pushing your voice. Our purpose for the onset exercise is to have a precise closure and opening of your vocal cords. So make sure that you're not singing way too high or way too low. Make sure that your range is very comfortable. Here is our final onset exercise, which is quadruples. Okay, so here is the summary of our learning today. Number 1, the sternum must be in a comfortably elevated posture before inhalation. To accomplish appoggio, maintain the inspiration position to delay the collapse. We want to use the balanced breathing of the thoracic and abdominal areas. You can improve appoggio by using the abdominal antagonism. Practice onset exercises daily. For the progress in appoggio, we want to accomplish the coordinated onset. We went over some difficult but very important concepts about breath management today. If you would like to read more about appoggio, here are the books that I used. Thank you for watching this video, guys.